Here we go. All right. Welcome back. We are doing our fifth and sixth questions. Do you guys need to be reminded what the fifth question was by chance?
But yeah,
Gotcha, Jamie. All right.
is this the last questions?
Yeah, these are the last two, and then we're good.
Okay.
So this one has to do with white supremacy. The first one is given that white supremacy has existed before we were born, within the last few weeks and years, why is there more conversation about it in the media and our daily lives? And then the second one is since we all have been immersed into systems of white supremacy, please list and explain three of the 13 characteristics slash descriptors of white supremacy that you personally have applied in your life and why. Then the third one is what have you begun to see and understand about your personal complicity in white supremacy that you were not able to see or understand before you began the assigned reading? Does anyone want to take a whack at it? What?
It's just funny
Can
wording.
I be reminded of the terms?
Yeah, I got you. I'll pull it up. If someone else wants to start with answering, like the
Yeah,
first, like
Yeah, I
A,
can.
maybe.
Yeah, I would. Oh, do you care? Do you mind?
I don't care.
Oh, okay. Um, so wait, where'd it go? Oh, oh, okay. I would say it's been such a topic in the media because we're trying to I feel like finally people are saying we've had enough and we're trying to get this moving in a positive direction, and obviously just sitting like idly by is not doing anything. So because we're having more people stand up for a cause, we have more people trying to put down the cause, and it's becoming like a big topic of conversation because it's not where you can ignore it anymore. Like it's in sports, it's in politics, it's literally everywhere now because we're trying to get this done with and understand what happened, understand what we can do to change and go from there. And so really I just think they're trying to figure out everything.
Um, I would say kind of the reason why is because I feel like the pandemic had a lot to do with it. Like obviously Trump's presidency kind of brought a lot of white supremacist thought and speaking terms back into light.
Mm-hmm.
But um I think the pandemic was just like a time where it was like super dark and super people weren't mentally well, and just like having to watch things like that over and over again happen, just I think it was finally a time when I don't know, white people like saw on their TV, hey, this is happening, because it was like recorded and stuff like that. I feel like media has played like a big part in like showing it happen, and the pandemic played a part in we can only sit idly by and watch our TVs, so now it's being brought up more.
Nice. Lily, do you have anything to say?
I mean, I was gonna say like social media, like it's definitely a big like reason because like I mean basically what Jamie was saying, like we can see like minutes after something happens, like video footage of it. I mean, even with this isn't necessarily white supremacy, even with the shooting that happened in Michigan State, like I literally was seeing videos like while people were still locked in their dorm rooms and stuff. So just like social medias can broadcast things so easily.
Yeah, I would agree with pretty much everything you guys said. Is that like because of this new age of technology, and I think also I think we and future generations are now like not sitting idly by, like we're I feel like so many people like our age, sorry Bryce, but our age are sorry, are like having ways of calling to action. I mean, like Jamie was saying that she was, organizing protest in her high school. And if you like, if I asked my parents, back then, if they were doing anything like that, they would say no, because there was no reason to. And like, or my grandparents who I would say my grandparents are very like tolerable people, but they were around when segregation and stuff like that was happening. And I bet if I asked them what they did, they'd probably say nothing about it because they didn't feel like it was affecting them. But now, are like these generations now are realizing that we have to help each other if we want to end what these systems have brought about. So I just think more activism as the younger generation start to grow up and really realize, and that plays a big part with social media because you can learn about all this stuff on the internet, like all the systems that affect, black and brown people, and Asian people and things like that. So awesome. Uh
So I have the list of white supremacy terms.
all right, Lily's answering this question.
Well, I was just gonna read them out so that like you guys can.
You just need to do three. Just pick three
So
random ones.
what are we
Well, but
supposed to do
Jane,
for those terms again?
Uh,
well,
I can read the question.
okay, yeah.
Since we've all been immersed into systems of white supremacy, please list and explain three of the 13 characteristics slash descriptors of white supremacy that you personally have applied in your life and why.
Like how
Like
we've
how,
been
so like if
we've been
Lily,
racist.
yeah, basically. So if like Lily throws out a term, we can, if any one of us feels that that describes them, we can explain like how we've used it or how we have in this class realized that we are using it.
Do you guys want me to read off all of them just to
Oh,
remind you?
nah, just read off like I was gonna say just read off like three and we can just kind of get into it because I'm sure there's something in there for each one.
I think a really big one is right to comfort.
Do you
The
want to
belief,
explain the definition?
yeah, the belief that those with power have a right to emotional and physiological comfort. Um, Scapegoating those who cause discomfort, equating individual acts of unfairness against white people with systematic race or systemic racism, which daily targets people of color.
Um,
I I
yeah.
feel like all these terms are very hard for me to relate to, like as of recently. I don't know. I feel like in the before the pandemic, I didn't really think about any of it, or at least I thought about it not in a deep sense, and I was okay like just like passing over those types of conversations. Um, but now it's like I want to talk about those things, but then they'll just be people who have lots of like racist ideas, and it's like it's just hard to talk to them because it's like they don't want to examine why they have those ideas and why they think they don't want to have those conversations. Like a lot of times they'll like say their racist idea and then they won't want to dig into it deeper at all. They'll like be like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And it's like you just said something that's like kind of sexist or kind of racist or something like that. We have to, but with like certain people, like certain family members who will like say or send me sexist things and then want me to talk about it. Like I don't want to talk about that because it's like it's emotionally exhausting a lot of times.
Yeah, that was a really good comment. That's hard to follow up. I feel like um what this can you repeat the term? You don't have to repeat the definition, but what was the term again?
Yeah, it was right to comfort.
Yeah, I think a big thing that I've noticed from it is the amount of family members, not so much recently, because I have kind of been super mean about it, but a lot of my family members, like my older family members, had huge problems with like Colin Kaepernick kneeling and other NFL players kneeling. And they're like, why do they have to highlight that? Why is that being shown on there? We know like that black people get killed by police officers, and like literally acknowledging the problem and saying, why
Mm-hmm.
do we have to hear about the problem? And so that for me, I've like definitely been more on my family members about it. Like my dad for a long time was very much against it. And then when I told
Same
like,
with my dad.
yeah, after like having a lot of conversations with him about it, he like now gets it, and he like is in more support, not fully supportive, but he understands, and I think that's a good
It's a
step in
big
the right
first step.
direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, like I had family members, I had a family member who would be like, why are they complaining? They earn millions of dollars. Like they're probably some of the richest people, like they're probably some of the richest black people in America, and it's like, of course, but like they're getting paid by $1 billion franchise. Like it goes so much deeper. It's like the NFL itself, there's only two black head coaches, but the player base is, I think it's like almost 80% of the NFL is black people. Yet the
Also,
coaches,
they're like,
yeah,
also they're putting their lives at risk, like CTE
exactly.
and stuff.
Yeah, yep, exactly. That's a great point as well, is that these guys are putting, yeah, that's getting a little, I'm getting a little off topic because I'm pretty passionate about that sort of thing,
Mm.
because I think you have to, I think people have to understand, but things like that where even it being shown, or even like BLM riots being shown, I don't know, like my parents were like super uncomfortable with it because they were saying, oh, it's destroying like the city and stuff like that. They're doing millions of dollars of damages to um bit like local business owners. And like my mom, for example, is a business owner. She does like nails and stuff like that. And during the BLM riots in Colorado back in like 2019, or no, not even 2019, like 2020, she was scared, but and she was super uncomfortable talking about like these riots and stuff like that until she actually went to one with me, and then she really understood. But yeah, Bryce, do you have anything
No,
to
I kind of agree with you guys. It's just
Okay.
like I just feel like it's something that doesn't go away unless it gets brought up, and I think we're definitely heading in the right direction of like more like organizations taking note and trying to like highlight different things they can do to help, and it's no different than what like we can do to help. So no, I agree. And
Um,
then oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I think another one of the terms that is like super similar to everything we were just talking about is fear of open conflict. Um, like ignoring problems, trying to run
Yeah.
from it, like that is that one.
I feel like, yeah, I definitely do that. Now in my like dating life, I just like, I don't want to bring up politics because it's like, but at the same time, it's like a really essential part of my identity. And I feel like it's something I want the person I'm with to care about. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I want to enjoy life. So like, because every time I bring it up, it's like you don't agree with me on anything. So it's like I'm afraid of that conflict, what that will bring to like the relationships I'm in or the friends I have or something like that.
Yeah. What was the third part of the question?
The third part of the
I think
question?
we need one more term.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I think we need one more term.
you're right.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry.
bless you. I think defensiveness also plays into, like, Jamie,
Yeah.
what you were saying, where like you don't want to, or like along with fear of conflict, like fear of conflict can be met with defensiveness. Like I know I have, like like you were saying in your dating life, like my ex-boyfriend was terrible to talk about politics with because we were just polar opposites. Like
Yeesh.
couldn't be more opposite, but he would meet, like, instead of being like, okay, like we have differences, it would be met with like anger or defensiveness, or like putting me down, not in a way of like I respect your opinion. And so then I just wouldn't want to talk about it or explain myself or anything. And yeah, I think that's, I mean, for me also, that's kind of like a being a female kind of thing. I like
Yup.
feel like I get met with defensiveness a lot, or I used to. Now I don't let myself. But like I feel like I've had a lot of males be very defensive
I
about certain.
totally agree. Especially like men in Bellingham, this area, because it's like they all think they're like leftists or whatever. That's what they think they are. And yet they're just espousing these ideas that I'm like, no, you're not even close. Like, and it's just like a lot. And sometimes I get defensive too. Like I feel like um I just feel like if like someone called me out like that, I would get defensive probably. Uh, but it I, I'm more concerned that you can't learn from it. Like I want someone to like be able to be like, okay, I notice this is a problem. Maybe I'll change up a little bit. I'll learn some things. I'll be open to learning these things and stuff like that. A lot of people are just like, I don't care. Why are you trying to make this a big deal? I'm not trying to go there and do all this stuff. Like they don't want to even hear me out because like I don't care really as long as you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
Like, but most people aren't willing to learn. They aren't willing to even listen to me, and they just write. I feel like a lot of guys write my opinions off. Is another thing, especially about like these topics.
I think
Right.
I think that's a good point. With Jamie saying like because she's a female, a lot of her opinions are written off. I definitely um think that like gender plays a huge role in that term of defensiveness because I know like there's a lot of um like my roommate for example with her boyfriend she is someone you would consider pretty leftist, you know, and her boyfriend was pretty far, not pretty far right, because I feel like the more right you go, the more Nazi you go. But um, he was pretty right leaning, and he would invalidate her opinions because, like, I swear to God, simply because she was a woman. And he says you like I think every time she would bring something up, he would say you're not educated enough on it, you know, and she to her credit, is pretty like educated on the things that she's passionate about. Maybe not everything, but the things that like relate to her as being like a member of like the LGBTQ community, like those things, like rhetoric like that reigns true for her because it's her life every day. And I feel like that's the same for, and excuse me if I'm like inflicting or inferring anything, but I feel like that's the same for like Lily and Jamie is that a lot of people or a lot of men will write off your guys' opinions simply because they think you're not educated enough because you're a woman. And, you know,
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys are gonna have to finish this without me. I do have to peace out.
okay.
I'm so sorry. All right,
Sorry.
take care. You guys are good.
Have a good night, bros.
What?
See you guys.
I was gonna add one last thing of like I've had like a lot of white uh white like female friends where it's like they don't listen to like my experiences also, or like they're like, I haven't experienced that before, like I don't think that's what happened or something like that. And that's kind of weird, or they kind of make it about themselves and I'm like, okay. And that makes me feel a little weird sometimes. And because it's like, shouldn't we have the same experiences in
Right.
some way? Like, don't we have like that sisterly bond or something like that? Or
Yeah.
that sisterhood? I don't know.
Do you
You're a woman,
guys
I'm a woman. We
do you guys feel as like uh two young women, do you guys feel like you experience a lot more doubt in your opinion from men, like when you say like Lily is a communist or something like that? Like, I'm not gonna assume, but I'm just throwing it out there. But say you are passionate and you know a lot about a subject, do you guys feel like you get like your opinion is kind of pushed to the side on certain things like that, even if like the person agrees with you?
I
I've
think
I've
it.
had do you want to go first or should
No,
I?
go. Go.
Okay. I've like told guys about like my favorite YouTuber or something like that, and it's a very left-leaning YouTuber, and they are always like, "Oh, I hate that guy," or something like that, and it's never like I hate him because of all these things that would be valid. It's like I hate him because of these things, like I hate his politics or I hate all these things without knowing I'd probably believe the same things. And he tries to almost like mansplain of why I should hate him too and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not gonna hate him because you hate him. And it's just like one of my interests. You could just be like, oh, that's cool. Uh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. I'm gonna move on.
For sure.
Because usually when a guy tells me his interests or something like that, and I'm not interested in it, I move on to something that I am interested in about him or something like that. But
Yep.
I don't get that same respect. I don't get the respect of like, okay, that's fine. Let's talk about something else. It's I'm gonna argue until you become or think like me.
I like that. I like that. Oh, Lily, sorry. This is kind of an off-topic question, but it might add more,
Yeah.
because I would enjoy
I
the
think
conversation.
it depends on like almost how like I don't want to use the word educated because I don't even mean like education in a school system, but almost just how like socially aware a male is. Like I I don't know. Like there's just some people that like Jamie was saying just don't have that respect there like at all. Like um but I have met like a very few that do like, and it's sad how like refreshing it is to meet someone that like will like take
Listen,
your,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's yeah.
No, I totally get it. Yeah, I definitely have like as myself, I've caught myself kind of invalidate, and especially in like high school, because like I feel like every dude in high school is like a edgy male teen who's like, "Ah, women are stupid," type thing. But like, I feel like uh I hope I'm getting better at it for myself personally, but I don't want to share my opinion too much because I feel like it was good that you guys did. So I'll move on to the third question for this one. It
I
is
feel like
what, sorry.
you're doing good, Jade, because
You
you're like
asking that
letting us speak.
question shows a level of like
It's about like thinking about it. We want men don't even like think about it. They don't even like attempt any of that. And
Right.
I feel like that's a major problem. My major frustration a lot of times is like people don't even like think before they speak or like think about the other person.
I agree wholeheartedly that like it I feel like, especially like men in society, we're so privileged because we like, I mean, look at like the most famous like talking heads, like Carlson, a white male, is like the number one news program in America. Hassan Abi is one of the biggest left wing streaming YouTubers, and he's a male. And then you go down the line, and to be honest, to be honest, I don't really know any female political streamers, you know, and that's not for lack of me not looking. It's just they're not highlighted because it's really all about like two men debating each other. Or I've watched debates where it's like four streamers and like two of them are women, and for a full 3 hour debate, I don't even hear like most of what the women are trying to say because the men just talk over them, and a lot of them have good opinions and are educated, so yeah. Anyways, let's let's go on. um what have you begun to see and understand about your own personal complicity in white supremacy that you were not able to understand or see before you began the assigned reading? um I think for me, honestly, is I did not really start talking about these like issues until not necessarily too late, but I guess not too early. I feel like in high school, I was so ignorant to the world outside of my own that not up until probably the first like real nationalized news coverage of BLM riots was when I realized that how bad systemic racism and white supremacy really do play a role in our society, especially with policing and stuff like that, and that's not even like half of the story for a lot of people who experience these systematic not discrimination, but systematic challenges, I guess is the best way for me to put it, because I can't think of what a cute cat. I can't think of another like word, but yeah, I think if I'm answering the question right, is I did not start being an activist early enough. And I think the earlier that we get people to understand these sort of things is a way we can actually start to fix these problems.
Yeah.
But what do you guys like have anything to add or anything like that?
I was gonna say that I feel like internally I'm like fighting my implicit biases. Um, but externally I don't know. I feel like I want to do more here. Like I feel like I've kind of had like a break almost from everything. Cause like I did activism in high school and then I was like I'm kind of like burned out and stuff like that. So, but I'm like by taking these classes I kind of want to like learn about those implicit biases and how to combat them so I don't like fall into a rut. I think feel like it's really easy to find people who will like say kind of white supremacy stuff and you to kind of just like be okay with it because it's like you don't want to cause a problem or something like that and you just want to have fun, especially in college. So like I think by like learning about all this types of stuff, um it's it's good to like brush up on all the things that you've learned about in the past.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I also sort of had a better understanding when the BLM riots were happening. I think part of that was like the age that I was when it was happening. I was like finally old enough to be like, oh yeah,
Yep.
something's not right here. But I didn't really do anything about it. And now with this class, it like Jamie, like you were saying, it makes me want to do more. Yeah.
Awesome. Great answers, guys. Let's move on. This is our sixth and final one. To Dr. Perry. Unfortunately, Bryce had to go early, but anyways, just wanted to put that out. After reviewing the assigned readings and everything else related to communication and difference by Brenda Allen, and this book is Anti-Racist by Tiffany Jewell. What have you learned about yourself? And then the next one is how can you be an advocate for change? So I think what I've learned about myself is, dude, I am not as educated as I thought I was. I like, I consider myself a pretty, I consider myself a pretty, like politically educated person. Not to the extent that I would want to be, but I definitely think I still have a lot more to go before I really am comfortable with saying I know a lot. But life is all about learning, so I'll learn more about you guys.
I feel like I I learned a lot about like terms I kind of already knew,
Oh
but
my,
I feel like I need to apply it more. I just have like I've just like been in this rut where I'm like unmotivated to like step up or argue or do things when those types of things happen because I just been like I think I'm just like exhausted emotionally like from high school and having to deal with that all the time because I was like a really big advocate in high school and it like it was tiring just like arguing with people all the time about this type of shit. Oh, stuff or whatever. And
it's all good.
it was just like hard.
Yeah.
But I feel like um the books and the readings kind of opened up my mind to like maybe other people's perspectives on it, on like these types of terms and like how white people may feel fatigued from talking about race and stuff like that, which I never really like thought about.
I think for me, it's made me realize almost like how much I don't know. Like, I feel like I have a really long ways to go, and this is sort of like just the beginning, I guess, which like is fine. Like, I have to start somewhere. Um, but it sort of makes me feel like I can't advocate until I know more, which like isn't the case. I like have to start advocating at some point, so like it might as well be now. But yeah, I guess I've realized how many things are screwed up in how much work it's going to take, but it also like it I like having something to work towards, I guess. So yeah, it has made me learn a lot about myself in that respect.
Yeah.
Nice.
And just adding a little bit onto your point of like you totally don't have to know much to be like an advocate. I think there are plenty of things that you can do to be like an ally and stuff like that where it's just like being there or going to a protest or like just being there for like people who are advocating for things. Like usually opportunities kind of like present themselves sometimes. Like a
Yeah.
lot of times in high school, it would just be people like being like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And me just being like, "Sure." And you kind of learn along the way of why it's important and why it matters to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Lily. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry, I just had a brain fart, and I thought Lily didn't answer for a second. But you told me. Um, and then okay. How can we be an advocate for change? I think like how excuse me. I think how you guys were saying that it doesn't take much to be an advocate, you know, simply being there is a great way of doing it. I think addressing the problems within your own community is a great start, especially with family, you know, as like um a lot of families really don't realize like not necessarily white supremacist attitudes they have, but the white supremacist attitudes that have been instilled unconsciously, you know, like for example, earlier, Lily's mom saying she doesn't want her to date or marry a black man in case that she has children and they come out light skinned and her mom is meaning it in a sort of not sentimental way, but in a way. And I'm sorry, Lily, I'm kind of speaking for
No, you're
you,
good.
but I think that it definitely is a sort of it like that white supremacy is instilled because she recognizes the problems that people with a different skin color than white face in our society, yet she still doesn't, you know, she's restricting her daughter from even dating one. Like hopefully when you date a black guy, you don't have a baby, you know, because like we don't want to deal with pregnancy in this day and age. We do not. But like either way, just like, or as I've spoken, my family and my dad having issues with protesting the national anthem and, you know, having to teach him. I think it all starts within. And then once you figure out yourself within, you go to your community and then you go broader and you go to your legislators and stuff like that.
I can go next if you'd like. Do you want to go? Oh, okay, I'll go. I was gonna say that for me, I like doing stuff outside like my family a little bit, like my friends or my peers or like community events, because I feel like educating people who are like don't have many opinions is like a little bit easier. But when it comes to like my people within my family, I think sometimes I need to take like a breather with it because it can be like emotionally exhausting for me because like I deal with it personally and some of my family members don't. And I feel like uh it, I'm gonna try and address it with them when I can, but I think there are other areas that I could really make more of an impact in, like my community and throwing up events that celebrate people like me.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then yeah, Lily.
Oh, I kind of answered it when I answered earlier.
Yeah, I agree. I thought you had a really good way of explaining it in your first answer. So well, we have less than a minute, so really good for everyone. Bryce, we love you. I will definitely let you guys know when I'm going to submit it as soon as this is over. I'll let you guys know if there's any trouble or anything like that. Thank you for being patient with me, by the way. Really appreciate it. But I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I will let you know when I upload that assignment.
Sounds good. Bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.